I knew you were going to do something, but I wasn't sure what it was going to be.
So I was gonna do I was gonna have a hat and I was gonna have like streamers and everything. And my producer said, do not do anything that's gonna like potentially embarrass anyone. I'm like, I'm not gonna do anything. So we did the video. I hope that's okay. First of all, happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
I hope you have an amazing, I'm so excited that you're celebrating your birthday for the next 15, 20 minutes with me and for our viewers on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael Wardy, Certified Financial Planner and Senior Strategic Director at Source Advisors. Welcome to Showcase Broadcast Studios. Today, really, I'm always excited when we have a guest in, but I'm really excited that Lena's here because we're talking about really how to manage life, I guess. Is that a good way to say it? Managing life, a career, everything through art therapy, which is something that I can draw really good stick figures, but you're going to give me additional insight and give our audience additional insight what this all means. If you have questions as you're viewing this, please go ahead and send them in. We will try and get those answered. If we don't get them answered, we're not ignoring you. We just didn't get a chance to answer those, and we will get those answered afterwards. So first of all, welcome and happy birthday again. Can you just give us an overview of what Createful Art Therapy is all about? Let's start there.
Okay, well, Createful is, first of all, hi everyone. And Createful is the app that my company created. So I started a company with my wonderful brother, Rafi, and it's called Creative Health. And so the purpose of Creative Health in the world is to give people access to creativity as a tool for health and whole living. And one of the ways that we did that, especially over COVID, was to create an app to make it even more accessible, because the idea for us is to make the arts accessible in that they're healing, but they are usually done through art therapies, which are kept behind the walls of treatment centers and hospitals and universities. So what we're doing is basically bringing this really important health tool or health tools, because it's all of the modalities of the arts, into people's homes, into people's lives. There's no reason for art therapists to come in just after you've been diagnosed, right? So we're trying to change the game of health in general and make it more about prevention and proactive solutions.
So what type of individuals have downloaded your app? And your app is on the Apple Store, App Store, I think is what it's called. So you can download it on the Apple Store. What type of individuals are you seeing that have downloaded the app and have started using it so far?
I mean, that's the fun thing. It's been such a mix. Right now, what we're seeing is a lot of people that are in corporate work. So that's my clients usually in my private practice span between young women that are somewhere between 17 and 30 years old. And then what we do is we offer workshops and programs for wellness, for corporate, for startups, for small businesses. So we're trying to take care of people's burnout, basically, before they burn out. So we're seeing a lot more people that work in corporate spheres and that are executive level, that are leaders in the field that they're in, and they want access to the arts. A lot of doctors and medical practitioners as well, something that we've noticed.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, interesting.
Okay, so I talked to a couple people. When we first met, I talked to a couple people about the idea, and like what I said earlier, I could draw a stick figure. That's it. That's not really the idea behind this, is that you have to be an artist.
Mm-hmm. On one hand, the idea is that everyone's an artist, but the idea here, I don't think people really take to that so easily. Everyone really comes in with a sense of resistance. Either I haven't made art since I was a child and I was awful, and someone told me to stop making art back then, or it is, see, sad stories.
I adapted to it.
If you want to turn this into a therapy session, let me know, Michael.
Mine's later today, but thank you.
Oh, that's great to hear. So then the other group of people are really people that used to make art, or they have an art form. Sometimes it's former art students or
Mhm.
former professional artists that have become estranged from their art form for whatever reason, or have a creative block because they are sticking to that one art form and trying to just like push through their own creative resistance. And if you've ever tried to do that before, you know how difficult it is to be in a place of a block and to try to just push through it. There are other ways to proceed. And what's beautiful is that we have the availability of all of the art modalities, right? So it's not just drawing and stick figures, it's also clay, it's also movement, it's also music, it's also writing. So there's an integration of all of the art modalities. And you're right, it's not about the stick figure, even if it was the most beautiful stick figure in the whole world. It's
Perfect
about the
line.
process of you making that stick figure, or whatever you might be creating.
Okay. So, and I'm still like, again, when I've talked to people, some people say, well, I don't even know why or when I would use this, how I would use it, integrating it into my life. Everyone says the same thing. I don't have time,
Mm.
which I would use that and have used that excuse as well. How do you integrate it? When do you integrate it? So if you have an executive of a business, is it that they just need to break away from the 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 hectic life that they're living with everything else, and they just need that output of kind of getting creative? Does it help also? Is it helping get ideas out that I should probably be doing this because I can't even get my question out? Um, when, how, why? How's that?
Let's see if I can tackle all those. When,
Yeah,
how,
one
why?
sentence.
I love all of the excuses people come up with for
Yeah.
reasons why they're not going to bother, right? Like we can come up with so many excuses for anything. I mean, and it's not just art, right? Like how many
Mhm.
times we made the excuse of I don't have time to go to the gym today, or I don't have time to breathe. I don't have time for 3 deep breaths. I don't have time, So there's
Yeah.
always that element of I don't have time as an excuse, but really what that's saying is I haven't learned the benefit of this practice yet enough to make time for it. So that becomes the hurdle then of giving people access to something, but also the awareness of how effective and useful the arts really are. And therapists know this. And it's interesting, actually, the conversations that we've been having around Createful. Most everyone knows it. Most everyone, especially over COVID, has been talking about, I reacclimated myself to my art form, or I took up knitting, or I took up clay making, or I became a painter. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting how the arts were there for us during COVID. I mean, they're always there for us, but I think people noticed it during COVID. That's the
Yeah.
beauty. That's the beauty of them. They're always available. They're always there. So it's kind of like the friend that's available to you for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whenever you want it on demand. And so I think awareness building is probably the biggest step for us, because people might not realize that art is not about viewing only, and it's not about making something beautiful. It's about engaging in your own process of life as the art unfolds, right? It's
Yeah. So in your role in integrating this, because if I just decide I want to start, so I just get a piece of paper and start drawing, I'm going through this, but I'm not quite understanding what or why. Like, I'll just start doodling, but I'm not doing anything to release any tension or balance in my life or anything along those lines. I know that's the title of this conversation is balancing your life. So it's more than just get a piece of paper and start doodling or start knitting. It's understanding, would you say, what you're trying to achieve, not from a final product, but from a life experience.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I think I would say it's more of tuning inward to receive your own insights while you're engaging in the art process. If it's something that you're doing that's self-driven, um, And obviously, an art therapist will guide you through these insights as they come up. But
Mhm.
for example, if you've ever practiced yoga, sometimes I'm also a yoga teacher, so sometimes what we'll say is the way that you show up to your mat is the way that you show up to your life, at least that given day, right? For sure.
Okay.
So when we show up to the mat, we start with all this resistance, we start with this stiffness, we start with this, especially in New York, this desire to like get through it really quickly. Oh my God, how am I going to spend an hour here? So and it's interesting how that is who we are outside the mat as well. And it's really the same with the art process. You show up with where you are and what you have to show up with.
Right.
As far as balance, just to go back to your other question as well, for the executives, for the people that are, the left brain thinkers, I think the beautiful thing about art is their day to day is all about that rational, logical, practical thinking. And I'm sorry about the garbage
Oh,
truck
you
outside.
know,
Hear that?
welcome to New York, I guess.
Yeah. So if you're constantly in a place of left brain thinking, you're only using part of your brain, right? There's still the intuitive side, there's the emotional side, there is the sensual side, there is the non-logical thinking, the squiggly brain thinking, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's not all about the linear thinking process. And the more we can get out of the linear thinking, the more we actually are effective in our linear thinking.
Okay. So we've gone through this transition of life being what it was pre-COVID. Then we had COVID. Now we have post-COVID. There's been a lot of mental health shifts that have taken place. I wouldn't even say mental, I would say overall health shift from physical, mental, emotional, every strain. Where do you see, just on the mental health side, where do you see the future of mental health going? Treating, inspiring, all of that.
Well, I think it's going to be more about personalized health. First of all, I will say everyone, myself, I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and everyone that works on Grateful, also licensed mental health counselors. They are specialists in their art form. So some people are, play-based specialists, movement-based specialists. Where I think the mental health and the health world in general is going is a much more empowering approach to healthcare, much more personalized and much more in the hands of individuals. Also, more integrative, right? Like right now, the Western medicine is set up in such a way that if I have a mental based issue, I go to see my mental health counselor. If I have a physical issue, I go to my primary care doctor. So like everything is really, segregated, so to speak. I have these individual parts and they have their individual attendants. But we are one total unit, right? Our mind, our
Right.
body, our emotions, they're all connected. So I
I mean,
think where health will be going is not only empowering so that the individual is able to take care of their own health preventatively and proactively, but also a more integrated perspective. And that's why I know that the arts are so effective, because creativity is both left and right brain. Creativity is both the mind and the body. It is
yeah.
the emotions, it's the soul, it integrates all of that. And you can see that in fMRI scans, you can see that in brain research. So I think as research starts focusing more and more on studying the arts, which it's just really tapping into, we're going to see a lot more art integrated into health in general.
That's actually encouraging that it's more customized to the individual versus just you fit into this category, so you go this route. I think that that's going to create a lot of strength for individuals. Do you mind if we switch to Live Createful, which the website, for those out there, if you are not familiar with it, live, Live, createful.com. Go to that website and you can learn more about the company, the group, the message, about Lena and the therapist. But can we walk through the group and how your approach overall, and how you take people through the therapy?
We're talking about the app. So
Yes.
the website is Live Createful. The Instagram is also Live Createful. the app itself is called Createful. So it's on the app.
Grateful. Sorry. And I do have that on my phone, but I'm not looking at my phone because then you'll probably think he's on his phone. Seriously.
Totally.
I'm not touching my
We
phone.
went 15 minutes together. So Createful is, again, our on-demand access to art therapists and art therapies. So what you'll see when you download the app is you'll have two choices. There'll be the guided version and the unguided version. The guided version will take you through 3 really simple questions, like a simple assessment, but it is more holistic based. So it will ask you the emotion that you're experiencing, how much of those emotions you're experiencing, and what type of learner you are. So it'll take into consideration if you're a visual learner or a tactile learner or an or movement-based learner. And what will happen is, let's say I take this little assessment and I am experiencing a lot of anger and anxiety, and I am a tactile-based learner. What you'll get is a treatment plan, we call it a treatment plan, of videos that are guided by art therapists that will take you through a clay-based experiences for your anger, for your anxiety. So you'll be able to process it through the art form.
So it's customized to you, and it's kind of do at your own time, at your own pace. You're not like 2:00 on Thursdays, you're meeting with a therapist and you have to be here 15 minutes before. It's when you're ready, when you feel you need it, that's when you go.
Exactly. There is the opportunity to follow up with an art therapist for sure. But the idea of the app really is to empower the individual. You know when you need it. You know how to take yourself through it. You have the guidance of a professional who's going to be able to hold that space with you. And if you want to continue, they'll be able to hold that space for you and process with you. Along the way, though, I think something that therapy sometimes is lacking in is it's so conversational based. I mean, I love conversations, but it's so verbal based. And that's really just one form of communication for us, right? That's one language. Visual expression is another language. Movement expression is another language. Music expression is another language. So giving people these tools is more like, it's less like we're giving them the tools and more like we're shining a flashlight on tools that they already have and saying, look, you can do this on your own time at your own pace when you need it most. And if that's 2 a.m. and there's no therapist around, there you go.
When you need it most. Yeah. And when you need it is when you want to have access to it. And I like that it's not specific to one style. It's on your own style.
Yes. Yes, it's not just me on that app. There are so many other therapists there, and they all have their individual styles. They're all specialists in what they do. So that's what you will find.
So last question before I know you start celebrating your birthday. And again, happy birthday. When does a person reach out? When does a person look at the app, sign up for the app? When would you recommend here's the time?
Here's the time to what? Follow up with the therapist?
Yeah, to actually start looking at this, considering this. A lot of people are just like, I think people get so slammed and strung out and so stressed about everything that it could almost be like they feel it's too late to get in front of a therapist or talk with a therapist and do art therapy as well. Is there ever a point where it's too late?
Ooh, what a despairing idea. No, it's never too late.
And these are not scripted questions.
Oh my gosh, you never have too much resistance. You are never not good enough. The only obstacles to your whole health is the ones that you're making up in your mind. They're all stories that you're making up to just create more of a hurdle between you and where your potential is. And that's why this is so important, is because the arts and creativity is something that we all possess.
Yeah.
It spans languages, spans cultures, spans genders, spans races. So everyone has access to these tools. Everyone's going to make excuses for sure. I mean, I've been working with clients, oh my gosh, for 10 or more years now, and pretty much 100% of the time they arrive and say, I'm not making art, or I'm not an artist, I can't do this, or I don't want to make art today. And then we get into it, and really it all shows up. So I encourage people to try. I mean, start small. Some of our videos are 5 minutes. So start small
It's not a
and
bad
see what
time
happens. What's
commitment.
that? 5 minutes is too much for you, Michael?
Yeah. No. It's not a big time commitment. And if it gives you, if you take 5 minutes to just decompress, to really balance, that probably is going to save you a couple of hours by doing that, just because you've rebalanced yourself to
Absolutely.
continue to move forward.
Balancing your brain, left and right spheres. You're balancing the mind and the body, bringing them together. You're accessing your soul in a way that maybe mental health isn't even ready to start talking about yet, but we are all talking about it within the field.
Mhm.
Balance is absolutely the best word to describe this. And
Beautiful.
why would we wait till we're off balance to try to rebalance? Balance is a constant game, right? So,
Or is it ever?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, this is a way to get active with therapy. Therapy that's more than talk.
Very good.
And I want to see your stick figures, Michael.
We'll get to that in a different session. One last question. How are you celebrating your birthday?
Oh, I've taken the day off other than this, and I will
you.
be engaging in some self-care.
Good. Good. I assume it's beautiful in New York because I hear outside, and so maybe the windows are open.
The windows are always open here. The heat's always blasted, but it actually does look like a nice blue sky out there. So
Beautiful.
I will let you know.
All right. All right. Lena, in order for people to get in touch with you to learn more about this, how should they? I gave the website, we gave the app. What is let's give a reminder for everybody. I know the website, we have that,
Yep.
livecreateful.com. Instagram is the same. The app, when you go into the app store, you type in Createful, and it's right there. And it's a C that is green and a half circle that, what color do we call that? Is that mauve?
Yeah, it's like a rosy mauve. Yeah,
Rose mauve.
nice
Okay.
color identification.
Good. Thank you again. I appreciate you joining. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for listening. Please, if you know of people that are looking for some type of additional insight or looking for some type of out for therapy and need that balance in their lives, 2023 is going to be in balance throughout the year. Let's make sure that we are balancing our lives with everything going on. This is a great approach and a great idea. And Lena, thank you again for joining. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, everyone.
Be well. Bye-bye.